Hello everyone, second live stream of the day. If you were in this afternoon's Delphi live stream, oh, the drama of Delphi. But we're leaving that behind for the moment because we're all caught up, all up to date on that case. But this is Stefan Stern's horrendous monster. And in June, a whole bunch of discovery was released because this case is taking place in Florida. And unlike Indiana and the Delphi case, where injustice is being done behind closed doors, Florida are the Sunshine State. Florida release everything. So nearly 900 pages of discovery against Stefan Stearns was released in June, and there's a whole bunch more been released. Now, there's a number of interviews, like police interviews that have been released, but also there's a bunch of documents as well. Now, I can only find 52 pages, and there may be more that's been released. It's kind of been, this time, instead of just releasing it en masse, like a big bulk of it, it seems to have somehow been drip fed into the public domain. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's like chasing it all down. Just watched a walkthrough of Maddie's home. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. But this particular set of documentation interests me, and I'm not gonna look when the 900 pages were released in June, and I went through every single page. Like, I did 7 episodes once every day for a week, 7 episodes going through the 900 pages. It doesn't mean to say that you needed to read every word, because a lot of it was repetitive. A lot of it was redacted. A lot of it was just kind of search warrants that take up lots of pages. And then nearly half of it was diagrams, really, really interesting diagrams on the phone pings and the movements of Stefan Stearns and his vehicle, but also Jenn's vehicle as well. So we got through it. We got through it fairly quickly. Now, this 52 pages, I can only find it on this website, Scribd. I don't know how to pronounce it. And I'm not going to pay for a subscription on this website. Right? So I'm hoping that somebody has downloaded it onto a free, like Adobe or somewhere where you can download it free. So on this Scribd website, I can read it. I can read the full 52 pages, but I can't download it without paying for a subscription. And I just don't want to do that. I don't see why I need to. But so these 52 pages, it's more discovery from Kissimmee Police Department. But actually, the vast majority of it just goes over the events of the 26th of February and immediately afterwards. So the immediate, first responding officers. And we've gone over and over and over and over that basic timeline. So I'm going to skip to page 34 of this set of documentation, because what is particularly interesting is what comes next. Because one of the officers very, very usefully has put together a timeline of events going all the way from the beginning of the 26th of February all the way up to the point where Stefan Stearns was arrested for murder. So I'm going to skip to page 34, and it's a little bit clunky because I have to do this off the website rather than a downloaded document, so I can't even just skip to the page. I've got to scroll, because page 34 takes us to the 29th of February, and that's where I want to start. Now, some of it we know already, but as the time goes by, as the time ticks into March and then April, there's quite a few interesting details that I'd never seen before or heard before. So, right, where am I at? 25, nearly there. And the investigator of this, it's a big document, is somebody called Belomo, and their supervisor was Johnson. So they put this together on the 24th of April. And then we've got Morris. Just getting to it. Morris. It might be Morris, actually, who's done this great timeline. Where are we at? Page 30. All right. Okay, yeah, it's Morris. It's Morris's timeline here. So, Detective Morris. So this was all put together in May. So, as I said, it's a great timeline, but we're going to skip the first few days because we know it all so well. We know that Maddie was alive and well when she left her birthday party on the 25th of February. We know that Stefan Stearns arrived. Actually, it was Maddie's auntie who took her home from the party because Jenn was apparently working. Stefan Stearns wasn't allowed to attend the party because Jenn's family don't get on with him. So Jenn's sister took Maddie home, and then shortly thereafter, Stefan Stearns arrived. Jenn got home from work about 10:30. They briefly spoke, and then Jenn sent Maddie and Stefan to sleep upstairs around 11 p.m. while she had a good night's sleep. So while she was having her good night's sleep, Maddie was murdered. All right, so this is where we're going to pick up on good old page 34. Right, so that's still February 26th, February 27th. All right, let's start here. This is still February 27th, but let's start reading here. Okay. So again, this is Detective Morris, supervised by Detective Perez, and this was written in May. So it's a great timeline. Takes us all the way through from February through Stefan's arrest for the 60 counts of horrendous SA, which they absolutely can prove. Absolutely can prove. And it takes us to the end of April, to the point where Stefan was arrested for murder. So that takes us pretty much up to what we know, everything we know. Oh, hello, Lisa Jones, member for 17 months. Thank you so much. Hello from Poland. Wow. Okay. All right. And this font is awful. I don't know whether it's been written in this font. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't change it because it's on a website, and even if I was able to download it as a PDF, I still couldn't change it. So if you're struggling to read it, yeah, so am I. And I'm going to be the one doing the reading. So all right, so they get this. They get an arrest warrant. So this is still the 27th. They've downloaded the photos. They found the photos of Maddie being horrendously abused, and they get a search warrant. All right. Okay. Now this is a discussion with. Let's have a look. Let's start here. Let's start here. February 27th. Whoa. Thank you so much, Purple AJ. You gifted 10 this afternoon. And now we've got another 10 gifted memberships. You are an absolute diamond. You are diamond. You certainly are. All right. So we've got Angle, someone, DC, JR, Patty, Multibrad. Keeping it on the low, Soph and Jim, Moonshadow and keep your receipts for your alibi. Oh, what a brilliant name. Keep your receipt for your alibi. So welcome, you guys. You get a month's free membership courtesy of the absolutely wonderful Purple AJ. And we've got Angels are here for €5.99. Thank you so much. I think you've just been gifted a membership. I said angles, but it was just flicking by. Angels are here. So thank you to you for the €5.99. And you got a gifted membership as well. How can she send her 13-year-old upstairs to sleep with him? I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's start here. So I talked about this on a video, was it yesterday or the day before? I read this little section out. And this is where we're going to start. Because Jenn's car went back to the crime scene on February 27th. In the early hours of February 27th, Jenn's vehicle, I think it was a Nissan, went back to the crime scene on Old Hickory Tree Road, which makes perfect sense to me because in the first set of discovery we got, when they were doing the initial investigations, they had a cadaver dog go all around Stefan's vehicle. Well, actually Stefan's dad's vehicle, because Stefan just is a leech and his dad's basically been paying for everything. His dad, Chris, lent him his car, paid his phone bill, was paying his rent when he was living at Jenn's. Unfreaking believable. Do we not hear anything about the roommates? Yes, Glitterwitch. It's in this bulk of documents that I'm going to read. Have you heard the interview with the creep's parents, Chris and Debbie? Yes, talked about it in a video yesterday. Yes, I have. I found that very, very interesting. Was it yesterday or the day before? Hold on, just a second. Just a second. Yeah, it was yesterday. So I did 2 videos. I did one 2 days ago, one yesterday. So yeah, talked about that interview with Stefan's parents. Okay. All right, so we're going to start reading. Yeah, so they ran a cadaver dog around the Lincoln, which was Chris Stearns' vehicle that Stefan was driving when he took Maddie to the dump site. I mean, I keep calling it a crime scene, but it's not. It's a dump site. Obviously, it was processed as a crime scene, but the crime actually occurred in the apartment. They also ran a cadaver dog. This was on the 26th. They ran a cadaver dog around Jenn's vehicle. And although there was no hits on Stefan's vehicle, probably because Maddie was very freshly deceased. So it didn't pick up anything in Stefan's vehicle. However, on, I think it was the wheel rims of Jenn's vehicle, the cadaver dog alerted. And I couldn't understand that. And now I know why. Because Jenn's vehicle went back to the crime scene. Here we go. February 27th, 2024. At 03:18 hours, so in the middle of the night, Jenn's vehicle was seen driving east on Highway 192 through Kissimmee to St. Cloud, Florida. The vehicle takes the same exact path as what Stefan did on the 26th. At 3:35 in the morning, Jenn's vehicle is seen driving south on Old Hickory Tree Road from Highway 192. How can a grown man be so lazy at the age of 38? Because he's a leech. Because he's never grown up. Because his brain is stuck. A lot of pedos' brains are stuck. This is just an observation. I haven't actually seen any science on this. There may be some, but it's just an observation that a lot of pedos seem to be like mentally stuck in somewhere in their teenage years. Now, there's got to be some kind of biological basis for that. I've always thought that. What it is, though, I don't know. And they seem to just get on better with children. Not all of them, just a subsection of them. I'd like to see it investigated, please, scientists. Thank you. All right. So 3:35 in the morning, Jen's vehicle is seen driving south on Old Hickory Tree Road. So that's the road that Maddie's remains were found on. The vehicle is then seen again turning west on Highway 192 from Old Hickory Tree Road at 4:09 hours. So it goes to the site, doesn't spend very much time there. So seen driving on Old Hickory Tree Road at 3:35, and then at 4:09 is seen coming back, presumably off the same camera. So it's driven all the way there. Whoever has driven this vehicle. Now, is it Stefan on his own? Is it Stefan taking Jenn to the dump site? Is it Stefan on his own making sure that she's well hidden? Did he have a plan to move her somewhere more secure? Because remember, he maybe didn't intend to drop her body there, but he got a flat tire. So he was forced. So I wonder whether he was planning on taking her body somewhere else and turned up there, and then maybe it was too much like hard work, because he's lazy. And he just thought, oh, well, I'll just leave the body here. Or is it something very different? Was he taking Jenn there, like to, I don't know, say goodbye or something? I don't know. But somebody went back to that exact crime scene, and the cadaver dog alerted on the wheel rim of that vehicle. So it was very, very close to Maddie's body. That's what I'm saying. The vehicle then returns to Venetian Bay at approximately 4:30 in the morning. A more detailed timeline is included with Detective Cabral's supplement. So I don't think we've got Detective Cabral's. I haven't found it anyway. But I'd like to read that, Detective Cabral's work. While the arrest warrant was being written and obtained by Detective Moore at approximately 16:45 hours, so 4:45 in the afternoon, so this is still February 27th, I contacted Jennifer in a conference room at the sheriff's office. Jennifer was asked questions about Madeline being missing, because remember, she's still missing at this point, and the dynamics of the household. Jennifer stated her and Stefan had been dating on and off for approximately 7 years, which we knew. Stefan had moved out of the home in the later part of 2023, November, December. Jennifer stated while they were together, they would either all sleep in the same bed or Madeline would sleep with her when Stefan was not there. When asked if it was normal that Stefan and Madeline slept together without her being there, she said yes. She stated she woke up the next morning, so this is, 25th into the 26th, by Stefan attempting to put the leash on the dog. So we know all this. So I'm going to skip this. Taking her to school. He lies. Obviously didn't take her to school. They know that. They know that. They've seen Maddie slumped over in the front seat of the Lincoln, and then later the morning, he drives into the car park of a Holiday Inn, puts her in the trunk, and then takes her to St. Cloud. Gets a puncture, has to change his tyre, which must have tired him out, something bad, because he's not used to work, any form of work. But he had to dump the body. All right, so he gets arrested. So I'm going to skip a couple of pages here because we know all this. And we're going to skip to February 29th because this is when there's a bunch of stuff here that we've not heard before, the details of which we've not heard before. So on February 29th, 2024, at approximately almost 5:10 in the afternoon, we contacted Jennifer. I advised her our crime scene Technicians were there to collect additional items that were seen in Stefan's photographs. Jennifer confirmed on the morning of the 26th she was woken up by Stefan trying to put the leash on the dog. So again, we're getting the same story. And every time she's interviewed, and she's been interviewed to within an inch of her life, she tells the same story. She doesn't really deviate. So you kind of think, you know, that she's telling the truth about this basic storyline. You know, that Stefan wakes her up, putting the leash on the dog, tells her to go back to sleep. He says Maddie has got ready for school and all that stuff. All right. So once again, they ask Jenn all the same questions and she tells them all the same stuff. Okay. So she didn't actually see Maddie. Maddie picked out clothes to wear on the evening of the 25th. They asked Jennifer to explain her and Stefan's sex life. Okay. All right. You ready for this? You're sitting down. Which she described as vanilla. Stefan would want to have anal sex with Jennifer, but she didn't want to. We later spoke about what medication Maddie was taking. Jennifer stated Madeline was taking 20 milligrams of Adderall, that would be for ADHD, 25 milligrams of hydroxyzine, which is a sleeping medication and anxiety medication. It's actually, yes, it's used as a sleeping med because it makes you really drowsy. It's actually an antihistamine. I take hydroxyzine as an antihistamine. It's one of the old school antihistamines that is very, very effective, but it makes you drowsy. I take 10 milligrams. I take a tiny amount of hydroxyzine because if I take any more, I'm literally zonked. So 25 milligrams is a lot, especially for a child. Like I take 10 milligrams and it makes me very, very, very drowsy. So 25 milligrams is a lot. Okay. And also Miralax for constipation. I asked Jennifer what is her morning routine with Madeline. She said she makes sure Madeline has her school items ready while making her breakfast and lunch. Jennifer says she makes sure Madeline takes her medications before school. Then she would take her to school. Jennifer said her entire life was dedicated to Madeline. When I asked Jennifer about the sleeping arrangements, Jennifer said Madeline would sleep with her most of the time, and when Stefan was there, they would all sleep in the same bed together. I wish one of the officers had said, don't you think Madeline is too old to be sleeping with her parents, or her mother and her monster? It's not actually her parents, is it? Well, Jenn is, but the monster isn't. All right. Jennifer said when her and Stefan broke up, she could only think of a few times that Madeline slept with Stefan in a separate room. So even after they'd split up, she still allows Madeline to sleep with Stefan. That is insane to me. Jennifer said she didn't feel comfortable with Madeline sleeping with Stefan. Well, why did she allow it then? And it didn't look right to her. Oh, really? So why did she tell them? This is what I mean. There's these little details that are just, it's nonsensical. It's nonsensical. If she didn't feel comfortable with it, why did she tell them on the night of the 25th of February to go and sleep together upstairs? So that's either a lie or it's something that she's thought in hindsight. I asked Jennifer when she started to feeling comfortable with it, and she said she never was comfortable with it. I challenged Jennifer about telling them to go and sleep together on the 25th, and she said it was a selfish move because she wanted a good night's sleep. Hey, well, how about Stefan going sleeping upstairs and Madeline sleeping somewhere else, like maybe in her own bed? She didn't appear to have her own bed. She had a little area in the living room. that was supposedly her bedroom, because there's 2 roommates. So Madeline, at the age of 13, doesn't even have a proper room. All right, February 29th at approximately just gone 7:30 in the evening, Sergeant Brewer and myself contacted Angelica Negro, who is one of Jennifer's roommates. So the person, I think it was Glitterwitch, asked if we hear anything from the roommates. Yes, we do. And this is it. So Angelica was placed under oath and she provided the following statement. Jennifer stated she arrived home at approximately 10:30. 11:30. She arrived on approximately 11:30. Now, Jenn said 10:30 that she last saw Madeline at 11 p.m. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a mistake there. Don't know. I asked if she'd seen Madeline or Jennifer when she got home. Angelica stated she did not see either of them and said when Jennifer takes her sleeping medication, she falls into a deep sleep. Angelica stated she did hear noises coming from the bedroom next to her, which would be Stefan's bedroom, where he and Madeline slept. Jennifer told Angelica that her and Stefan had not had a sexual relationship within the past 6 months. No, because she doesn't want to. She didn't want to, which is why in yesterday's video, I said she threw her daughter to him. She threw her daughter to the wolf. She didn't want to have sex with him, but she was okay with Madeline doing it to keep him happy. That's what I truly believe now. That's what I truly believe based on this new information that's come out. So she did hear noises. So I don't know. Angelica stated that on 2/26, she woke up between 9:30 and she went downstairs to make breakfast around 10:30. Angelica stated she saw Stefan in the residence at that time. Angelica said Stefan was acting odd and going upstairs and downstairs and in and out of the apartment that morning. Stefan was also washing clothes, which she had never seen him do because he's a lazy beast and probably got anyone else to do it for him. When Angelica left for work at approximately 15:40 hours, Stefan was there. Angelica got home from work at approximately 11 p.m. and that's when Jennifer told her that Madeline was missing. Angelica said Jennifer was crying and very emotional. Angelica described Stefan's emotions as calm and not how someone would act if their child was missing. Well, he was, putting on the old whiny voice and the tears for the cameras, wasn't he? Later during the interview, I showed a photograph that was located in Stefan's phone of a nude female in the bathroom. Angelica identified the person in the photograph as her, which she did not give him permission to take those pictures. Thank you, Susan, for the £2. Thank you so much. What was the sleeping setup at her dad's home? I don't know the answer to that. Her dad hasn't shed any light on it. Presumably, she slept in her own bed. I don't know. I don't know how often she saw her biological father, because he lived in Texas. So Angelica did hear stuff going on in the night. Obviously, she'd no idea what was going on. But it appears that Stefan was taking photographs of her in the bathroom. Now, we knew from the first set of discovery that was released that he was putting his phone underneath doors so that he could take pictures of the roommates. We've also heard, I mentioned it in the video yesterday, we've also heard from Jennifer that she didn't want Madeline to be photographed in bathrooms. So I think Jenn knew Stefan was doing this, or at least she had an idea that he was doing it. On March the 1st, at approximately 11:57, nearly midday, Detective Smallwood and I contacted Jennifer at her residence for a follow-up interview. I advised Jennifer that we would be taking her to the Orange County Sheriff's Office to retrieve her vehicle. I advised Jennifer that I would be taking over the investigation and there would be a press conference this day to announce it. Jennifer asked when I said we, did we mean homicide? I told Jennifer I meant we as the Kissimmee Police Department, but yes, we will be working it as a homicide because we had a strong belief that Madeline was deceased. Now, March the 1st was the day that Madeline's body was found. However, a few hours before Madeline's body was found, they did a press conference. So they did a press conference in the morning, and then Maddie's body was found like in the afternoon into the evening. So the press conference, the officer was very, very blunt, said, we have reason to believe Madeline is already dead, talked about what they'd seen, that Maddie appeared to be dead in the vehicle. They were very, very upfront, very, very early on in this investigation. So it's good to kind of hear, you know, the background to this. Jennifer became silent for a few moments and started to cry. Jennifer said she had been avoiding the internet because of the things being said or leaked to the media, and it was traumatizing to her. I asked Jennifer where all she physically looked for Madeline since she'd gone missing. Jennifer said she'd not looked anywhere for Madeline. Why? Because she knew she was dead. Maybe, possibly, that's just my opinion. Because she wanted to be home in case she came back home. Lie. Jennifer said she had since been staying at her sister's because she didn't want to be seen in public. I asked Jennifer has Madeline any siblings, and she said she was married to Stephan Young and he had a daughter that was raised along with Madeline. That would be the only person who would be considered a sibling, Jennifer said. Stefan had been around Stephan and his daughter Ashlyn a few times. Jennifer said Stephan lived in Williamsburg, which is by SeaWorld. I asked Jennifer if her or Stefan had been in contact with Stephan, and she said yes, by text message and phone calls. I asked Jennifer if I could see those messages, and she handed me her phone and said yes. I asked Jennifer how Stephan, this is confusing, we've got a Stephan and a Stefan. So Stephan's the first husband, Stefan's the monster. So I asked Jennifer how Stephan found out about Madeline, and she said she told him. Stephan was in shock when he heard the news. Jennifer said she had to go out and purchase some small items, and she felt like she shouldn't be outside because of the attention this case had received. Jennifer said she didn't want to end up hospitalized for her mental health. So all about her, not about her deceased daughter. Yeah, all about her. Okay. Detective Smallwood asked Jennifer what medication she used to help her sleep. Jennifer said it was called Geodon, but the bottle says Zamizadone. Jennifer said she had to take it with food, and within 30 minutes to an hour is asleep. Jennifer said Madeline would take hydroxyzine for her anxiety, which we've already talked about, and also to help her sleep. Jennifer was asked if Stefan had attempted to reach out to her since he was arrested, and she became upset and said no, and it would be stupid if he did. Jennifer stated, we asked her about Stefan's sexual kinks, and she said she remembered last night that he had an anal sex kink. Jennifer said she always refused when Stefan would want anal sex with her. Jennifer also remembered, but it was okay for him to do that to her daughter, because we know he did, because there's photos on his phone. We know he did. We know he did that to Madeline. Okay, all right. All right. Jennifer also remembered that Stefan would be easily angered and was very irritable and negative about things. Whiny. Now, this is consistent with what his dad said, that he was very volatile, because when he was living at his dad's place, he would be up all night and then he would sleep all day, and he would become volatile when his parents were just moving around the house in the day, just doing normal daytime things, like being awake, or if the dogs barked and woke him up, he would get volatile. Now, they didn't actually say that he would become violent, but that's kind of what they were getting at, that he was volatile, he was easily angered. So, yeah, she's doing stuff. She's threw her daughter to this wolf to keep him happy. I swear down, that's truly what I think happened. That's my opinion, but I think I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I did. But this, no. This seals it for me. Jennifer said Stefan would only get angry at Madeline over normal parenting things, or if Madeline didn't want to do what was asked of her. Oh, I see. So if Madeline didn't want to do what was asked of her, Stefan would become angry. All right. Okay. Jennifer stated she had given Stefan the benefit of the doubt about when he told her he dropped her off at school. Jennifer said Stefan is a master liar and a master manipulator, and she had recently had this conversation with Chris. So that's his dad, Stefan's dad. Jennifer assumed law enforcement was looking into Stefan because he was the last person to see Madeline, and she wanted to believe he had nothing to do with her going missing. Jennifer said once we showed her photographs of the stuff, that is when she realised Stefan was guilty. I asked her what she thought Stefan was guilty of, and she replied, he's been grooming and abusing my child. I asked Jennifer if she thought Stefan killed Madeline, and she said, at this point, I do. I asked her why she thought that, and she said we showed her a photograph of Madeline slumped over in Stefan's vehicle. Jennifer said she felt like Stefan dumped her body somewhere, but she didn't know where. I pressured Jennifer on where she thought Stefan would have dumped Madeline's body, and she kept saying she didn't know. Jennifer became upset and said she would tell us if she knew because she wanted her child back. We arrived at the Orange County Sheriff's Office, where Jennifer was taken inside to be interviewed by Detective O'Malley and Detective Smallwood. They've interrogated her within an inch of her life. They really have gone at her. So if there was anything that they could really pin her down on, I think they would have charged her. It's just, doesn't it make you feel so angry that they can't seem to pin it out? They can't charge you with anything. So, still March the 1st, search teams from the Orange County Sheriff's Office and the Osceola County Sheriff's Office and the St. Cloud Police Department were dispatched to different areas of the respective jurisdictions to search for Madeline. News conference was held, as we know. Then, at approximately 4 p.m., crime analyst Donna Seater from the Osceola County Sheriff's Office contacted a witness, Thomas Carris. Now, we've heard this. This is how Madeline's body was found. Told Donna he saw a person matching the description of Stefan with a tire iron in his hand standing next to a silver sedan on Hickory Tree Road. Thomas believes this was 2:26 at approximately 20 past 1 in the afternoon. Thomas provided pictures of the location where he saw the person and pointed the location on a map to Donna. Donna then relayed this information to the other deputies who were searching the area. Captain Laurie Mignon and Sergeant Sharice Swan responded to the area that Thomas identified. Sergeant Swan knew the property owner, who provided access through the lock gates to the property. Captain Mignon then walked towards a row of bamboo trees to the left of the open gate, and they found Maddie. Okay. So that's about finding the body. So we've gone through that time and time again because it was written up in the first 900 pages that were released. So we'll skip that paragraph. Just finding her body is so sad. Okay, medical examiner responded, assisted in processing and preserving the body. So we know that they processed the crime scene. Well, they processed it as a crime scene, even though it was the dump site. But yeah, so they know she was dead. They know she was dead. So then, placed a telephone call to Jennifer to let her know we had located Madeline and that she was deceased. Jennifer started to cry over the phone and handed the phone to her father to continue the conversation. I told him I would be in touch with the family in the next day or two. So, next day, March the 2nd, at approximately 10 o'clock in the morning, Detective Smallwood and I responded to the medical examiner's office for Madeline's autopsy. The autopsy was performed by Dr. Stephan Giles. Prior to the autopsy, I examined Madeline's body when it was initially uncovered. I noticed her socks were clean on the bottom, which confirmed my observations when she was located in St. Cloud. That they were clean, so she obviously didn't walk there. Had no shoes on, didn't walk there. All right. We know she was already dead. So during the autopsy, Dr. Giles expressed concern over the hyoid bone. So trigger warning, this is details of Madeline's body, Madeline's autopsy. So expressed concern over the hyoid bone in Madeline's neck. Dr. Giles stated that the right portion of the bone was not intact, which could possibly be relating to her being strangled. So a broken hyoid bone. The hyoid bone is a little bone, little tiny bone in your neck. And it's actually very difficult to break, like in, just day-to-day life, normal circumstances. Virtually the only time you see on a deceased person, I mean, obviously there will be times, but generally speaking, the only time you see the hyoid bone broken in a recently deceased person is when they've been strangled. No, not everybody who is strangled has a broken hyoid bone. If you strangle from the side, then it tends not to break that bone. Right? If the grip is to the side and then kind of downwards, then it doesn't tend to break the bone. That's why Shanann Watts' hyoid bone wasn't broken, because I believe Chris strangled her, like her head was tilted to one side. But if you strangle from the front, then it breaks the hyoid bone. Yeah, but just in, if you had a car accident or you fell downstairs or something like that, the chances of your hyoid bone being broken, because it's deep inside, like your neck, it's not going to break, right? Hanging. Probably not, no, because it's going to push. I'm doing the actions. In hanging, you tend to break your neck, like break your actual full neck, like the neck comes apart. But it's like the pressure down on the neck. No, I'm generalizing. I'm generalizing very much here, because there will be instances where the hyoid bone is broken. And obviously, if you've been deceased for a long time, then because the hyoid bone is very small, and maybe there's insect activity, animal activity, movement of the bones through not just natural processes, then the bones might break anyway. But in a recently deceased person, then strangling tends to, if it's from the front, breaks the hyoid bone. But hanging it pushes the head upwards. It like basically snaps the cervical, the connection, like it snaps the spinal, like the spinal cord, the spinal column, like pushes the head upwards. So it like literally breaks your neck rather than puts pressure on the front. I'm just guessing. But that's what it's a very, it gives the medical examiner a lot of confidence as to the cause of death if they see a broken hyoid bone. Oh, good Lord. Hung yourself when you were a teen, but was found as you dropped. Oh, my word. Glitter witch. Cervical spine is broken and becomes separated. Yeah, because literally, if you hang, the rope is you're just dangling there. So the entire weight of your body is like pulling down, like gravity's pulling the entire weight of your body down, and literally like your cervical vertebrae will just separate and it's going to split your spinal cord and you basically get a full-on broken neck. And also you've got that pressure on the sides of your neck, which is going to cut off the blood flow to your brain. So you get the broken neck, which is why when people hang, they twitch, because you've got that severing of the spinal cord. And then you pass out because you lose, there's no blood that can get to your brain. So you pass out, fortunately, but then you twitch at the end of the rope for a long time. So I don't believe Maddie was hung. I believe she was strangled. Oh, Precascent, please hit the like. Please do. That's lots of swirlies, lots of spirals. Okay. All right. Dr. Giles listed the initial outcome of the autopsy as pending. Now, fast forward, March the 4th at approximately 15:09 hours, so 3:10 in the afternoon, detectives smaller than I contacted Thomas Carris. Is that Carris or Canis? Carris, the witness who... I hate this font. Provided the location to Osceola County deputies. Thomas stated the following in a sworn statement. So he observed the press release in regards to Stefan's vehicle. Thomas stated he was driving down Hickory Tree Road on 224 and noticed the Lincoln on the west side of the road. I'm pretty sure that should be 226 because Maddie was still alive then. That would be the Saturday. And a male standing by the vehicle. The vehicle had a spare tire, so we know that. So that's the witness who called in the tip. All right, so we know that. March the 5th at 2:20 in the afternoon, I made contact with Stephen Young at the Kissimmee Police Department. Stephen was identified as Jennifer's ex-husband, so the relationship she had prior to Stefan. So we get to know some stuff about Jenn. We get to know some goss from the first husband. It's fascinating, this. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. Everyone's talking about, you know, the police interviews with Jennifer, but this is fascinating stuff. Stefan was placed... sorry, I'm pretty sure that should say Stephen was placed under oath. So Officer Morris is getting confused here. Stefan and Stephen and whatever. So I think that should be Stephen was placed under oath and provided the following statement. Stephen stated he married Jennifer in 2015 and divorced her in either 2016 or 2017. He wasn't sure. So they weren't married for very long. Maybe 1 year or maybe 2. Stephen stated he met Jennifer through a dating website. Stephen stated they lived in Venetian Bay when they were married, in the same location as Jennifer is living now. When they were living together, it was Stephen, Jennifer, Juan, Jennifer's father, Madeline, and Stephen's daughter, Ashlyn Young, who lived together. Stephen stated Juan stayed in the bedroom downstairs and he and Jennifer stayed in the room upstairs, and both Madeline and Ashlyn had their own bedrooms upstairs as well. Oh, so Madeline did have her own bedroom when Jennifer was married to this other random person. So this isn't Madeline's dad, by the way. This is someone that she met after Maddie was born. I asked Stephen how the relationship with Jennifer was when they were together. Stephen stated it was good in the beginning, and later on in the relationship, Jennifer began having mental health issues. Stephen said there were times when he would have to take care of the household when Jennifer was having a bad time with her mental health. Stephen decided to remove Ashlyn from the atmosphere, which was when they decided to get divorced. Stephan said he considered Madeline as his daughter due to the amount of time they spent together. Aisling and Madeline would play games online once a month for a few years. Stephan would join the game and just talk with Madeline. Stephan stated he loved and cared about Madeline, even though the relationship with Jennifer didn't work out. Stephan said he thought Madeline was in good hands, so he tried to become with Stefan. I don't know, become friends maybe with Stefan since he was going to be in Madeline's life. Stephan said he visited Jennifer and Stefan when they lived in Northport, Florida. Stephan was playing games with Stefan, which ended in a small argument. Ever since the argument of board games, they haven't spoken since. Bad English. I asked Stephan where he lived when he was living in Florida. Stephan said he lived in an area called Williamsburg, which was near SeaWorld. Stephan would move to Colorado in 2022. Stephan would keep in contact with Madeline and would inquire how she was being treated by Stefan. I asked Stephan to explain the sleeping arrangements when he was living with Jennifer. Stephan said Madeline would sleep with Jennifer, but he wasn't comfortable with Madeline sleeping with them in the same bed. So Madeline did have her own room, but she did like to sleep with Jennifer. I asked Stephan if he had seen any demeanour changes with Madeline. He said she seemed off in the last few years, and he thought it could have been Madeline going through puberty. But it started during the end of elementary school. So some redaction there. Stephan said Jennifer wasn't different. She was always trying to figure out her mental health medications. Jennifer recently disclosed to Stephan when a recent medication she had been taking knocks her out, meaning tired and sleeping. I asked Stephan how he heard about Madeline, and he stated that his wife saw something online. Stephan talked with Jennifer on the 27th when Jennifer stated Stefan took Madeline to school and made a bunch of mistakes afterwards, like deleting his phone. So all the lies. All right. Stephan believed Madeline forgot her phone, but thought it was odd that Stefan forgot his phone. All right, so he starts believing it. Stefan described Jennifer's tone as being anxious, as if something was wrong. Stephan said they were speaking over speakerphone and Stefan was with Jennifer. Stefan made the comment that he felt guilty because he forgot his phone and then he'd accidentally reset it. Oh, so more lies. Stephan couldn't believe that Stefan was saying over the phone. Jennifer began saying what time she thought she woke up because of the dog, and Stefan interjected and told her that he would take care of the dog so she would rest. I asked Stephan if he knew why Jennifer didn't go to Madeline's birthday party. Stephan said Jennifer's family can be a lot to handle sometimes, and if she was starting a new job, he understood why she wasn't there. I asked Stephan if he thought Jennifer had anything to do with what happened to Madeline, and he said he doesn't feel like she would deliberately because she had family and that could have helped her with the situation. Stephan said Aisling is starting to see a new therapist, and he said if she discloses anything related to the case, he would let me know. So Aisling's the little girl that lived with Jennifer and Madeline is also in therapy. So hopefully she's not been abused by Stefan in any way. Anyway, March the 6th, approximately 9:06 in the morning, Detective Smallwood and I responded to Haynes Avenue, Port Charlotte. We contacted Frank Peralta, who had previously called me and said he wanted to speak about Stefan. Frank was placed under oath and stated the following. Frank stated he found out about Madeline's death 3 or 4 days prior to this conversation. Frank, so I don't know who Frank is. Frank's just some random at the moment. Frank stated he saw an article on Google that mentioned her death and he watched some YouTube videos. Frank stated the people making YouTube videos described Stefan in a way different than he knew. Frank said he met Stefan about 3 years ago because they played the same game called Warhammer. Frank said he thought some of the interviews were weird because Stefan and Jennifer referred to themselves as boyfriend and girlfriend. Frank knew they weren't in a relationship anymore, so he thought it was odd. I asked Frank if he talked about Jennifer when they hung out with him recently, and he stated he talked more about Madeline than Jennifer. So Frank must be Stefan's friend, I'm guessing, because they'd created a strong bond. Frank thought it was strange because Stefan didn't work. However, he had the money to purchase items for the multiple games he played. Yes, because his dad financed his entire life. Okay. Frank said he knew that Stefan would take Adderall because he would be awake all night and he would sleep during the day, consistent with what Chris said. Frank didn't know if Stefan took any type of sleeping meds. I asked Frank if he had any conversation with Stefan about his sex life. Frank stated no. However, they would be out and an adult female would be interested in Stefan, and Stefan showed zero interest. Frank stated Stefan told him he was going to go to Kissimmee the weekend of 2/17, but didn't go. Frank stated Stefan was talking about Madeline when he said he was going to Kissimmee that weekend. Frank said Stefan was talking about he and Jennifer ending their relationship, and Madeline's name came up during the conversation. He was more upset about the bond he created with Madeline, yeah, I bet he was, than having a relationship with Jennifer. There was no conversation between Stefan and Jennifer mentioning him going to Kissimmee that weekend. Frank stated he didn't know much about the sleeping arrangements when Stefan was living in Kissimmee. Okay. All right. So we now getting Chris and Deborah, which is Stefan's parents. So this is the same time, March the 6th. Detective Smallwood and I responded to Northport, Florida. So they went to Northport to speak with Chris and Deborah, parents of Stefan. Chris stated he was expecting to speak with us at some point during the investigation. I told them I was trying to get an understanding of Stefan and Jennifer's relationship. So we've heard this interview. Like, this is one of the interviews that has been released. Like, the audio of the interview has been released, but we'll still read through this anyway. They stated Stefan and Jennifer were together approximately 7 years. Deborah stated they didn't approve of them being together because of drug use. Chris stated it was drug use, as well as Jennifer was taking medication for depression and anxiety, and he didn't think Jennifer was going to be a good influence for Stefan. Well, Stefan doesn't need very much to be, led down the path of laziness and just complete loserness. They explained that both Stefan and Jennifer would sleep all the time, and it wasn't a positive thing for the relationship. When both Stefan and Jennifer would suffer mental illness episodes, they would bring the other person down with them, and it wasn't a good dynamic. Chris stated Stefan was diagnosed with sleep apnea, and he would be up all night and then sleep all day. Okay. I asked what Stefan would do when he was in town, staying with them. Chris stated Stefan would lock himself in his bedroom and only come out to eat dinner, which somebody else made, obviously. Chris stated he brought Stefan back to Northport from Kissimmee because he was tired of supporting him living with Jennifer. Chris stated Stefan was sharing a room with Jennifer, but when they split up, Stefan began living in his own room at the location, so Chris would pay Stefan's rent, about $600 a month. Dear me, your 38-year-old son, you're paying his $600 a month rent at 38 years old. At 38. Oh, God. If I'd asked my dad to pay my rent at the age of 38, I don't know. He would have had a heart attack. He would literally have had a heart attack, I think. Chris said when Stefan moved back to their house, Stefan would lock himself in his room, and there was always tension due to his sleeping disorder. Chris said when Stefan moved back to Northport, he and Jennifer were supposed to be broken up. I asked Chris if Stefan ever said they were officially broken up, and he said yes and no. Chris stated Jennifer told him the week prior to Stefan coming to Kissimmee for this incident that Jennifer told him she didn't want Stefan as a partner and he wouldn't be a good partner for her. Chris said he assumed they were officially ending their relationship because Stefan recently had been seeing another female. Interesting. I asked how many times Stefan went to Kissimmee after he moved back home. He stated he went to Kissimmee 3 different times, including the most recent time. Once being during Thanksgiving and the other was Christmas. Deborah stated in the last year or so, Madeline began showing signs of being bipolar. I'm not surprised living with these absolute lunatics. I asked if she witnessed Jennifer and Madeline butting heads, as previously mentioned, and she said no. Deborah said she would only hear them arguing over the phone. Deborah stated that she didn't think Madeline was a very sociable person and didn't have many friends. That was odd because Madeline had several friends at her current school. I asked when Madeline, Jennifer and Stefan were visiting Northport if any of them took any medications to fall asleep, and Deborah said no. Deborah said Stefan was prescribed an anti-anxiety medication and ADHD medication, but neither one of them knew Stefan or Jennifer's medical routines. Well, you kind of probably wouldn't do, adult children and that. Okay. I asked if Stefan would drive the silver Lincoln to Kissimmee when he visited Jennifer. Chris said he would drive Chris's Lincoln because he didn't trust Stefan's vehicle. So Stefan had his own vehicle. Oh, okay. Probably Daddy was paying for that as well. I asked why Stefan went to Kissimmee the most recent time, and Chris said it was for Madeline's birthday. Deborah stated Madeline called Stefan on 2/24 to make sure that he was coming. Chris said something was odd with Stefan, and he was also very upset. Stefan was anxiously looking for anxiety medication from Chris and Deborah, but was unsuccessful. Interesting. Chris said Stefan looked very stressed out on Saturday, the 24th. Chris said he felt that Stefan was more stressed out over something rather than upset over something, but had no idea what was stressing him out. I asked when did they hear about what happened with Madeline's disappearance, and Chris said he spoke with Stefan when he arrived in Kissimmee on 2/25. Chris said he tried to get hold of Stefan several times on the Monday morning, but he didn't get an answer. Stefan called Chris at 15:17, and Stefan's voice seemed a little off. During that conversation, Stefan tells Chris that he got a flat tire somewhere on Highway 192. Stefan tells Chris that he changed the tire but got injured during the process due to pinching his fingers between the jack and the vehicle. Stefan then called Chris back at 16:54, and Stefan tells Chris that there has been an occurrence, and he was on his way to Madeline's grandmother's house. Chris thought it was strange use of words. Stefan then tells Chris the story of him dropping Madeline off near the school, the usual story, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So during the conversation, Chris said Stefan was upset as if he was holding himself responsible for Madeline's disappearance. That's because he was. Chris said he felt that Stefan was rehearsing his story on him because it was the same routine he used during Stefan's statement during the media interview on Tuesday. So Chris, all credit to him, has not tried to do what many parents do, of criminals and tried to defend them or make excuses for them. He absolutely didn't. He really didn't. So Chris would speak with Stefan over the phone a few more times during Monday and Tuesday. Chris would ask what Stefan and Jennifer had done to help find Madeline, and it was mentioned law enforcement wanted Stefan's phone. Chris advised him to hand his phone over as there wasn't anything incriminating on it. Stefan then told Chris that he'd accidentally reset his phone when doing an update. Chris thought this was bullshit and said there was no way to accidentally do that. I asked Chris why he went to Kissimmee, and he said Stefan told him they were getting kicked out of their home and had to stay in a hotel. So Daddy was required to pay for that as well, presumably. This was when the residence was secured for a search warrant. Chris went to Kissimmee to assist Stefan and Jennifer in whatever they needed. Chris said when he left, he couldn't lock the front door because the batteries were dead in the electric lock, so he advised Deborah of the issue. When Chris got to Kissimmee, he met up with Stefan and Jennifer, and they had a small discussion on the probable interviews that may take place the following day, and they went to their respective rooms. Chris said he got a call from Jennifer the following morning, so this is 2:28, asking if Stefan was with them. Chris and Jennifer met in the lobby, and Chris asked Jennifer if her car keys were in the room, and she said no. Interesting. Jennifer received a phone call from a detective saying they wanted to conduct an interview. However, Stefan was not there. So he'd gone walkabout with Jennifer's vehicle again. So this is on the 28th. Where was he? Who knows? Jennifer received a phone call from a detective saying they wanted to conduct an interview. Chris became concerned at that point, thinking Stefan was going to look guilty. Stefan eventually showed up at the hotel and told the story that he got lost. Chris didn't believe the story because Jennifer's car's GPS, which would provide accurate directions. Chris was able to speak with Detective Alex Richards, who advised Chris that Stefan was in Northport early that Wednesday morning. So while Chris is in Kissimmee, like helping out Jennifer and Stefan drives all the way back to Northport, and we know that he went to a storage unit. And he'd also taken out a hard drive from a computer. We know that as well. Talked about that in the video yesterday. All right. Okay. Detective Richards told Chris they had information that Stefan probably went to his storage facility. Chris said Stefan would have been disappointed because there was nowhere to gain access into their home, because the only way inside would have been through the garage, which he didn't have the remote for. Chris stated when Stefan eventually made it back to the hotel, he went to sleep and there was no waking him up. I asked Chris why Stefan would come to the house, and he said the only reason would be to possibly steal something to get money. Jesus. I asked if they'd spoke with Jennifer since Stefan was arrested, and Chris stated they exchanged a few texts. Deborah asked if we spoke to Jennifer about what happened after Madeline's birthday party. Deborah stated Jennifer told them she asked Madeline to go and sleep with Stefan in his room, and Deborah said it was not okay. Was not okay with that, and that was another reason why they wanted Stefan to come back to their home to stay. I asked them if Stefan had any medications prescribed to him when he came to Kissimmee, and he said no. Stefan was having a lapse in insurance coverage. Okay, so his dad's not paid his insurance. I asked Chris when Northport Police Department contacted him, did he give them a desktop computer? And he said yes. Chris said they gave Northport Police Department full access to Stefan's room, but it did not appear they took anything of evidentiary value other than the computer that Chris gave them. Chris went to say that Jennifer should not have been acting the way she was after just learning that Maddie had been abused. Then also stated he thought everything that Stefan would say was a lie, and he didn't know what to believe, especially during the media interview. Detective Smallwood asked them if they thought Stefan would be capable of doing something like this. Deborah said no. She thought it may have been an accident. Okay, fair enough. After the interview was conducted, Detective Smallwood and I responded to the Northport Police Department, where we collected the tower computer and power cord collected from Stefan's room. The computer was delivered to the Kissimmee Police Department and submitted into evidence. Yeah, Stefan threw his hard drive away on the 24th, which was 2 days before the murder. So he was planning it. It shows premeditation. Surely. March the 7th at approximately 10:38 in the morning, I contacted Natalie Rosero, who's a roommate. So this is another roommate. So Natalie Rosero. Natalie provided the following sworn statement. Natalie stated she had known Jennifer for years before. She was friends with Jennifer's sister. Natalie moved into the residence at the beginning of 2022. Natalie stated Stefan was already living at the residence, but she didn't communicate with him outside of saying hello and goodbye. Natalie would spend most of her time in her own bedroom with her son. Jennifer confided in Natalie that Stefan wasn't maintaining a job to help provide for the household. That is when Stefan moved upstairs away from Jennifer and eventually moving out of the residence and back to his mother and father's residence. Natalie stated her work schedule and morning routine were consistent because it had to be for her son. Natalie stated she makes it a point to be out of the house by 7:45 because she had to drop off her son before she goes to work. Natalie stated Madeline is normally waking up as she is leaving for the day, and she would sometimes see her. I asked if she'd ever seen Madeline getting ready for school, and she said that Madeline would be typically getting ready for school in Jennifer's bedroom. I asked Natalie if she'd ever seen Madeline be alone with Stefan, and she could only remember one time they were inside of his room playing video games. Natalie told Jennifer, Natalie texted Jennifer asking if she was good with Madeline being in the room alone with Stefan, and Jennifer replied saying thank you. I asked Natalie if Jennifer takes medication, and she said she thought she took medication to help with her ADHD and sleeping habits. Natalie described an incident where she tried waking Jennifer up in the middle of the night because someone tried breaking in to her car. Natalie stated it was very hard to wake Jennifer up and believed it was because of her medication. Natalie stated during the evening of 2/26, Natalie told Jennifer that she would help pass out flyers on on 2/27 or do whatever else was needed to find Madeline. That is when Stefan looks at Natalie and asks her, "Are you okay?" What? Natalie became annoyed and told him no. Natalie was bothered by this question from Stefan and thought the question was odd. Yeah, are you okay? Are you okay because she wanted to pass out flyers for a missing child? Natalie described Jennifer as being in pieces, meaning very upset about Madeline's disappearance. Stefan was acting like he was concerned. I asked Natalie if she had ever known Madeline want to go to school early, and she said no. Natalie stated she did not think Jennifer had anything to do with Madeline's death and became very emotional, saying they love their kids. Okay. March the 7th at approximately 1:07. Detective Ray Soto and I contacted Angelica, so this is the other roommate, to conduct a follow-up interview. It appears that Angelica was moving out of the residence she shared with Jennifer and Madeline. I wanted to confirm the timeline we had previously spoken about. Angelica stated she got home from work on 2/25 at approximately 11 to 11:30. I asked if she'd seen anyone when she got home, and she said no, but could hear people upstairs. I asked Angelica if Jennifer's door was open, and she described it as being cracked open slightly. Angelica stated she went to sleep around 2:30, which she was hearing noises coming from Stefan's room. So 2:30 in the morning on the 26th, there's noises coming from Stefan's room. She described the noises as of someone putting stuff on a table, which in order for her to hear noises, it would have had to be significant based upon the noise, would have to travel through 2 doors and across a hallway. Angelica stated if Jennifer was awake, the television would be on or a light would be on in her room, which when she got home, neither were on, which led Angelica to believe Jennifer was sleeping. Angelica said she did see the light on in Stefan's bedroom when she got home. Angelica said she woke up at 9:30 the next morning, eventually went downstairs to make breakfast, and she'd seen Stefan. Angelica said Stefan was going in and out of the house and up and down the stairs. The next time she's seen Stefan was around 1:30 to 2 p.m. and Stefan was washing clothes. I asked Angelica about the sleeping arrangements and she said all three of them would sleep together. So Stefan, Madeline and Jennifer. They made a small space for Madeline to sleep in the living room, but she didn't like it, so she would sleep with Jennifer. Well, what 13-year-old girl is going to want to sleep in this little cubby that they made her in the living room? Everyone else has their own bedroom, and Maddie doesn't have a bedroom. I asked if she ever witnessed Stefan and Maddie going into Stefan's bedroom by themselves, and she said yes. Jennifer would be in the house when this occurred. Angelica said she had a conversation with Jennifer about Stefan and Madeline going into the same room together, and Jennifer would tell her that Stefan would never harm Madeline, so she was okay with it happening, even though she told the cops that she wasn't comfortable with it, which must have been a lie because she was the one that suggested them going to bed together. Okay. Angelica stated she had another conversation with Jennifer about her sexual interactions or lack thereof with Stefan. Angelica said they didn't have sexual relations often, and that is why she didn't want to be with him any longer. Well, Jennifer was too old for him, obviously. All right. When Stefan was told he had to move out of the house, Angelica stated he was not happy. Madeline did not appear to be upset when Stefan was moving out of the house. I asked Angelica what Madeline's routine would be when she would wake up for school. Angelica said Madeline would go to her portion of the living room and get dressed. She would eat breakfast and Jennifer would let her sleep a little while longer before they left for school. Angelica stated she never seen Stefan take Madeline to school. I asked Angelica how Jennifer was acting from what happened. She said Jennifer was bad and she couldn't believe it was happening. Over the next couple of weeks, I reviewed cellular phone data that was extracted from Stefan, Jennifer, and Madeline's phones. Madeline's phones revealed the following. All right, so we've got step data. So in addition to phone ping data, we've now got step data. All right. Madeline's phone revealed the following. All right. Okay, so 12/16, so 16th of December. Okay, Madeline sends a text message to Stefan that contained a photograph of 2 coins. So we've got some redactions there. Detailed information about steps. So I don't know what on earth that's about, but that was on Madeline's phone. Detailed information about steps in the health application for iPhone during the time frame 2/25/24 at 8:30 and 2/26/24 at 4 p.m. So 8:30 is when she left the party. Why would you give child antihistamine all the time? Well, it was for her anxiety. Hydroxyzine is an antihistamine that you can take for allergies, but a lot of people take it as a sleeping medication. It's like Benadryl. People take Benadryl as a sleeping med. All right. And also, because it makes you drowsy, it reduces anxiety. And it's got less side effects. Apart from making you drowsy, it's got less side effects than anxiety medication. It's not addictive or anything like that. Okay. All right. So 8:30 is when she left the party. And then this is when she should have been picked up for school. So 2:25 at 10:10 in the evening, 9 steps taken. And then 20:11, 31 steps taken and 1 floor climbed. So that would have been when her and Stefan were going to bed. So going from downstairs to Stefan's room, 1 floor climb, 31 steps. So 11:19. which matched the time Jennifer sent Madeline and Stefan upstairs to go to sleep. Then, okay. So bear in mind that Madeline would already be dead now. But Maddie's phone starts taking a whole bunch of steps. This is fascinating. So 2:26 at 7:05, Maddie's phone takes 113 steps. Then at 7:15, another 50 steps. I mean, this is a lot for Stefan. I bet he's exhausted. I bet he's absolutely exhausted. Then at 10:55, 8 more steps, which is when Stefan is back at the residence. So what's the phone doing? Between 7:05 and 7:15, it's taking like, what, 163 steps. And then Stefan leaves, so leaves the phone at home, and then it does a further 8 steps when Stefan's back. Okay. All right. And then at 14:37, it takes another 54 steps, which is when Jennifer will be taking Madeline's phone with her to her when she let to go and pick her up from school. Okay, so that will be Jennifer. And then at 17:03 were the next steps counted. Okay. All right. So Madeline's phone was plugged into charge on, so this will be from the Knowledge 3 database or whatever it's called in recent iPhones. So they know everything. So if you've been following the Delphi case, Libby had an iPhone. So they'll also be able to take all of this information from Libby's phone if they had a mind to. Right. Madeline's phone was plugged into charge 2:25:24 at 23:38. Madeline's phone is unplugged from the charger at 7:04. So it's unplugged from the charger at 7:04. Then it starts taking a whole bunch of steps. The phone is then powered off at 7:16. This pattern of Maddie's cellular phone use is not typical for a normal day, which shows this activity was not physically done by Madeline. On 2:26 at 10:55 is the next time Madeline's phone is turned back on, which coincides with the 8 steps it moved at the same time. Stefan and Angelica would have been the only people in the house at this time. And per Angelica's statement, she was inside of her bedroom during this time and only seen Stefan while he was doing laundry. Okay, now Stefan's phone. Upon reviewing Stefan's phone download, the following was observed. On 2:26 at 12:12, so just after midday, a factory reset was done on the phone. This can only be accomplished navigating to the settings option in the phone, tapping General Management, swipe, and tap Reset. The tap factory data reset and then review the information. Once reviewing the information is complete, swipe and tap Reset. You have to go through a whole bunch of steps to factory reset your phone. You can't do it by accident. You can't but dial a factory reset. You can't mistakenly factory reset your phone because it says, are you sure? Are you really sure? Are you really, really, really sure you want to do this? So he didn't do it by accident. Absolute bullshit, in his dad's own words. Okay. If there's a password on the phone, at this time, a person would have to enter their password. This shows that Stefan could not have accidentally reset his phone, as it's nothing to do with a phone update, as he stated during his previous statements made under oath. Another factory reset was done on Stefan's phone. Oh, he did it again! He did it twice! Oh no, he did it twice! He mistakenly factory reset his phone twice. No way. Oh dear. Another factory reset was done at midnight on the 27th. This would be the time frame of his last statement to law enforcement and before he drove Jennifer's car to St. Cloud's. So they're saying that it was Stefan who drove Jennifer's car to St. Cloud's. Also, on Stefan's phone were over 1,000 images. 1,000 SA images. Most of these photographs are graphic in nature. These images will be described upon reviewing Stefan's Google information. Stefan also searches what? Sevoflurane? What's sevoflurane? On 2 different dates. Oh, no way, no way, no way. So on 2/12, so on 12th of February, and on the 14th of February, sevoflurane is a volatile anesthetic that provides hypnosis, amnesia, analgesia, akinesia, and autonomic blockage during surgical and procedural interventions. I told you this was juicy. I told you there was a lot of really, really interesting information in this. So, hypnosis, amnesia, so memory loss, analgesia, pain relief, akinesia stops you moving, an autonomic blockage. So basically shuts you down. It shuts you down during surgical procedures. Clinical uses include inhalational induction of general anesthesia in neonates, so newborns, and pediatric patients secondary to IVs. This information was obtained by Google. It's unknown why Stefan would be searching this item using the search term show up in drug test. He was planning this. He was planning this. He planned this. He planned it. When he wasn't attempting to get a job or didn't have any children that were having surgery. Upon reviewing Jenn's phone, the following was observed. Jennifer would set an alarm at 7:30 on days that she would bring Maddie to school. There were messages between Jenn and Stefan on 2:25, starting at 23:39 hours that stated the following. Jennifer texts Stefan, make sure she goes to bed right now. Stefan replies, okay, sweetie, good night. Jennifer replies, good night. A minute later, Stefan texts Jennifer, she's built her nest and she's settling in now. And then Jennifer says, okay, good. Okay. These messages confirm what Jennifer stated during interviews, that Stefan and Madeline were alone in his bedroom prior to her death the following morning. On 2:25:24, Jennifer set her cell phone on a wireless charger at 23:54, and then Jennifer set an alarm to go off at 9 o'clock. The alarm was removed from the notifications while still on the wireless charger. On 2:26 at 9:19, Jennifer's phone was physically removed from the wireless charger. This is consistent with her daily activities with removing the alarm notifications or snoozing the alarm. There were several other messages between her and Stefan regarding Madeline sleeping in the same room together. There was also text messages between Stefan and Jennifer claiming Stefan gave Madeline an extra dose of her medication when it was not necessary. Okay. Tina, member for 22 months. You're almost an OG. This is worse than I imagined. Yeah, it's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. He's a complete monster. He's a complete monster. So I was able to search through images on Stefan's Google account that was recovered from a lawful search warrant submitted by the Orange County Sheriff's Office. I observed the following images. All right. So I'm not gonna. I mean, this is the abuse. This is the abuse. So we've got. I'm not going to read it. We've got Yeah. Awful. Awful. And there was hundreds of other images containing Madeline with Stefan's Google account, with most of them depicting activity. A copy of Stefan's Google account was submitted into evidence. Then on March the 12th, at approximately 12:39, Detective Smallwood and I responded to Hunters Creek Middle School to interview classmates of Madeline. We contacted Sydney Snyder, who stated she didn't have any classes with Madeline and would only see her passing at school. I'm surprised that they've not redacted these names, because these are minors. So I'm surprised they've not redacted these names. But anyhow, so Sydney stated she was friends with some of Madeline's friends, and that's how she met her. So she stated the last time she spoke with Madeline was on 2/23, so that would have been the Friday, when they were talking about a boy that she liked named Miguel. Sydney stated she got a lot of her information from Sage, who was Madeline's best friend. It appears that Sydney did not have any pertinent information regarding this case. Stardust Shortit member for 22 months. Nearly an OG. Then we contacted Island Short, who identified herself as one of Madeline's friends. Island stated Madeline was typically a happy person. However, she wouldn't talk to her on a personal level. She knew Madeline had a birthday party but didn't know who attended. Island confirmed Sage was Madeline's best friend. It appeared Island did not have any pertinent information. Then on March the 13th, Detective Pinnell and I responded to Hickory Tree Road, where we contacted Sylvana Fester. The Kissimmee Police Department received a tip about this case that mentioned Sylvana, who possibly had information regarding Madeline. I asked Sylvana if she could provide me with some insight on Madeline's family. Interesting. So this is Hickory Tree Road. So this is the area where the flat tire happened, and this is the place where Madeline's body was dumped. Sylvana stated she had known the family for approximately 2 years, which would put Madeline around 11 years old. Sylvana stated she would go hiking with Jennifer and Madeline in the area of Lake Lizzie, which is in St. Cloud. Sylvana stated Jennifer started dating Stefan, and she didn't think very highly of him because he didn't have a job, and all he would spend most of his time painting figurines. Okay. I asked who would come to the area to visit when they were hiking. Sylvana stated it would only be Jennifer and Madeline. Stefan never once went with them. Well, too much hiking, good Lord. You have to exert energy to do hiking. Sylvana did not know why Stefan would be in St. Cloud because, according to her, he does not have any ties to that area. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, March 13th. It's not 2026. These guys who write stuff don't proofread, do they? All right, so March the 13th at 4 p.m, Detective Kalunskin and I responded to addressing Orlando, made contact with Sage Ellis. Sage was identified as Madeline's best friend by multiple people. Sage was placed under oath to obtain the following statement. I explained to Sage and her mother that was present that I understood she was previously interviewed by detectives from the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and I had to clarify a couple of items she had previously discussed. So all of this is from Kissimmee Police Department. The stuff that was released in the nearly 900 pages was from Orange County Sheriffs and Osceola County Sheriffs. So this is the Kissimmee part of the investigation. So Sage stated another girl from their school, Emily, was there. Sage did not know Emily's last name. I asked Sage how Madeline was acting at her party. So Sage was at her party, presumably. And she stated when she got there, she was kind of acting upset. But when Emily got there, she changed her demeanor and began to act happy. I advised Sage that she had previously mentioned her and Madeline may have been on the same menstrual cycle, meaning they got their period at or near the same time monthly. Sage clarified that Madeline got her period in January, but she didn't know if she got her period in February or not. Now, I know a lot of people speculate that Madeline was pregnant and that's why he did what he did. I'm not going to make any claims or speculate on it unless we know for sure. Sage assumed Madeline was upset at the party because Jennifer was not there. Oh, hold on, I've missed a thing. Sage then explained that Madeline was upset because some of her friends cancelled going to her party the day before. Sage assumed Madeline was upset at the party because Jennifer was not there. Sage stated whenever she woke up, she would always have text messages from Madeline. This would occur every day, according to Sage, but Sage did not receive a message from Madeline on 2/26. No, because she'd already been murdered. Now, obviously, the autopsy is going to tell us whether or not she was pregnant. They're probably not going to release that information, though, I would imagine, even if she was. So, March 14th, Corporal Edward Dale authored a search warrant to obtain the fingerprints of Stefan. The warrant was signed by the Honourable Judge John Beamer. March 15th at 9:41 in the morning, Detective I don't know that. I can't say that. And I responded to the Osceola County Jail to execute the search warrant for Stefan's fingerprints. Crime scene technician Alex Figueroa and supervisor Isabel Johnson also responded to collect the fingerprints. Stefan was provided a copy of the signed search warrant and he cooperated while his fingerprints were collected. Once the fingerprints were collected, Stefan was escorted to his portion of the jail. Who is Sage? Maddie's best friend. I would imagine Stefan quite enjoys jail because everything's done for him. Gets his meals, gets clean clothes, doesn't have to move too much. Imagine he'd do all right in jail. They need to do what they used to do in the old days. And they used to sentence you to hard labour. So you'd have to basically dig holes and chop up rocks and stuff for 10 hours a day. That would be more what I'd like for Stefan, honestly, while he's waiting to, receive the ultimate penalty. You love it when I try to pronounce people's names. Yeah, I know I'm not very good at it, am I? Not very good at all. I should just stop trying. All right, so March the 20th, approximately 13:56, Detective Smallwood and I responded to St. Cloud, where we contacted Walter Roska. Walter had previously called in a tip regarding possibly seeing Stefan changing his tyre. Walter stated the following under oath. So he saw him stating his tyre, person resembling Stefan. Okay. So we know he was there. So, okay. March 28th, the Honourable Judge J. Bigney signed a search warrant for Madeline's medical records. The warrant was executed. Okay. I was provided her medical records upon execution of the warrant. Upon reviewing Maddie's medical records, it appears that she was diagnosed with ADHD and anxiety disorder. These records were submitted into evidence at the Kissimmee Police Department. The Honourable Judge J. Bigney also signed a search warrant for the Fitbit device that Stefan was wearing during the time he was with Madeline on 2/26. That'll be interesting. That will be interesting. The warrant was sent to Google, who provides the records for Fitbit. On March 29th, I received the case synopsis from the medical examiner's office. Dr. Giles ruled the cause of death as strangulation and the manner of death as homicide. Okay, so now we skip to the 10th of April. 14:53 hours, Stefan calls Chris Stearns using inmate identification, blah, blah. At 12:57, into the call, Stefan, so 12:57 minutes into the call, Stefan tells Chris, you know that I would have never wanted that for her, meaning Madeline. Stefan says, I'm not sure really that any one person is specifically responsible. It's probably a combination of factors that led to it. I have never felt anything like this before. It was horrible. Chris tells Stefan he hopes the truth will come out, and Stefan responds, well, yeah, as if he was dodging the statement. This call was downloaded and submitted into evidence. I think Chris is working with the police. I think Chris is contacting Stefan and keeping up phone calls, emails and stuff like that. I think they're collecting information for the police. That's just my view. I think that's what's happening. Okay. April the 11th, I received a message from Chris stating he had an update regarding the case. I contacted Chris by phone. I read this in my video yesterday, so if this is sounding familiar, it's because I read it yesterday. Contacted Chris by telephone, who stated that he was cleaning out the storage unit he had on Executive Avenue. Chris stated he opened one of the storage bins and located a hard drive that would normally be housed in a desktop computer. In the same storage bin, Chris located a watch that Stefan previously told Chris during a phone call from the Osceola County Jail was in his bedroom. Chris stated Stefan must have gained access to the storage unit when he made the trip to Northport on 2/28. So remember, he snuck off in Jenn's car to Northport and couldn't get into the home. Chris assumed he was trying to get into their home so he could steal stuff for money. But yeah, he was going to the storage locker. Chris stated Stefan must have gained access, when he was there. I told Chris that I would have detective from Northport Police Department contact him to arrange a time to receive the hard drive. Chris previously stated he had witnessed Stefan using his desktop computer on 2/24. So that's the Saturday beforehand. He never gained access to the residence after leaving Kissimmee on 2/25. It appears that Stefan had intentionally removed the hard drive from his computer in an attempt to conceal the contents. So he's not thrown it away. He's taken the hard drive out of the computer on the 24th. And then there's a hard drive there in the storage locker. April the 12th, I drove to Northport Police Department to retrieve the items that Chris provided to detectives. There was a hard drive that appeared to be removed from a desktop or tower computer and 2 other USB drives. Unless this was another hard drive, like he didn't take, I don't know. He probably had loads of them. A search warrant will be obtained to retrieve the contents of those drives. So we don't know what that is yet. We don't know what's on there yet. There could be all sorts on there. We haven't heard. So we just know about the 60 charges based on the photos and videos that were on his phone. But what he's been doing in the past, what's on these old hard drives and these USB drives, Lord only knows. It could be so much more than what we know currently already. On April 15th, the Honourable Judge Michael Murphy signed a search warrant for the hard drive and 2 USB drives. These items were delivered to Agent George Torres with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to be examined. On April 17th, the Honourable Judge Michael Murphy signed a search warrant to obtain the iCloud records from Apple for Jennifer and Madeline. The search warrant was submitted to Apple via email. On April 18th, at approximately 8:30, Jennifer and her attorney, Matthews Bark, arrived at the Kissimmee Police Department based upon an investigative subpoena that was issued by the State Attorney's Office. Due to technical issues with State Attorney Will Jay's computer, technology, The interview was moved to the state attorney's office at the Osceola County Courthouse. The interview was led by State Attorney Will J. Will placed Jennifer under oath, who swore to tell the truth during the interview. Will asked Jennifer if she was working the night of the 25th. So they go through the entire story again. Remember, this is April. They're going through the entire story again with the Attorney General. The Attorney General's having a go now. All right. So she states she got home at 10:30. Jennifer stated when she got home, Stefan and Madeline were only people downstairs. Jennifer could not remember what either Stefan or Madeline was wearing. Okay, she didn't remember. But she would be wearing whatever clothes that she would be sleeping in. Jennifer could not remember what time Stefan got to the residence. Jennifer stated she was in her bedroom with Stefan and Madeline for approximately 30 minutes before she sent them upstairs to go to bed. Will asked Jennifer why Stefan wasn't invited to her party, and she stated because her mother doesn't get along with Stefan. Jennifer stated she instructed Madeline to take her nighttime medication when she got home, which Jennifer states she allows Madeline to do from time to time. So she doesn't always take this medication at night. It's just when, maybe just when she's sleeping with Stefan, who knows? And then Stefan gave her more than what she should have had. Remember, Stefan was looking up 2 weeks previous. Stefan was looking up anesthetics. So, Lord knows what Madeline had in her system. Jennifer stated she instructed Madeline to take a nighttime medication. Okay, so she takes hydroxyzine and Miralax. Jennifer stated since Madeline had been staying with her mother, she hasn't been taking the Miralax consistently. Will asked Jennifer if Madeline normally sets out her clothes the night before and if she makes the decision in the morning. Jennifer states the decision is typically made in the morning, but because she knew Stefan was taking her to school, then Jennifer asked her to set out her clothes ready to go. Jennifer didn't know if Madeline took clothes with her upstairs to Stefan's bedroom. Jennifer states she does not have any further communication with Stefan or Madeline after the last text from Stefan stating that Madeline had built her nest. The next time Jennifer sees Stefan is when he's trying to put the leash on the dog in the morning. So we know this. Stefan told her to go back to bed. We know that. She went back to sleep. She got up. She went to a doctor's appointment. Will asked Jennifer if Madeline would have come into her room to tell her goodbye when she left for school. Jennifer stated that she hoped she would have. Well, she didn't because she was dead. Okay, Jennifer said she's woken up by her alarm clock, which is set for 9 o'clock. Jennifer states she didn't remember if she saw anyone that morning, but she thinks she may have seen one of their roommates. Jennifer states she didn't receive any communication from Madeline the morning of the 26th. Jennifer states the first time she communicated with Stefan was approximately 10 o'clock when he told her that he'd left his phone at the house. Stefan told Jennifer that Madeline had a good morning and that he was going to take her to McDonald's, but she changed her mind and all she wanted to do was sleep in the car. Jennifer was asked to confirm if she went anywhere else when she left to go to her doctor's appointment, and she stated no. Jennifer said she was supposed to have another appointment later that day, but cancelled it due to the cost of the appointment. Jennifer said when she got home, Stefan was at the residence. She said Stefan was wearing a red shirt with some sort of graphic on it. Jennifer said Stefan was acting normal. He told her after he dropped off Madeline at school, he went to the vape store and they were not open. He said he waited a while, then he left and drove around before going back to the residence. What he actually did was take Madeline's dead body to the parking lot of a Holiday Inn and transferred her from the front seat to the trunk. That's what he did. That's what he did in the morning. All right. Stefan told Jennifer he was going to run a few more errands somewhere on 192. So the errands were dumping the dead Madeline. Then she asked him if he was going to be back in time to go and get Madeline from school. Stefan told her that he would be back by 2:30. When they were speaking in Jennifer's bedroom is when Stefan told Jennifer he'd accidentally did a factory reset on his phone. Stefan then leaves the residence and Jennifer stays home. Jennifer then starts to call and text Stefan to see if he's going to be home soon to go and get Madeline from school, but he doesn't respond. Shortly after, Jennifer leaves to go get Madeline. Stefan calls Jennifer and tells him he accidentally left his phone at home again. Jennifer said at some point during the morning she was putting stuff away and she noticed Madeline's phone on her dresser. So she picked it up and brought it with her to the school. Will asked Jennifer if she'd asked Stefan to help her with Madeline while she was training at work. Jennifer said if Madeline stays with her mother, she doesn't get to see her much. So if Stefan watched Madeline, she would be able to see her more at home. Jennifer was asked if she knew the plans about getting McDonald's on the morning of 2/26. Jennifer said they talked about it the night before, but they didn't talk about it when they would leave the residence. Okay. Will asked Jennifer if Madeline had ever had side effects of the hydroxyzine, and she said if Madeline took the medication later than normal, she would feel sluggish. Will then asked Jennifer why she let Stefan still stay in the home after they'd ended their relationship. Jennifer stated she considered Stefan as one of her best friends. Jennifer said she didn't want to see him revert back to his mental health issues like he was previously. Will then asked Jennifer about Madeline's sleeping habits. Jennifer stated Madeline would sleep with her the majority of the time. When Stefan began staying there, 3 of them would sleep in the same bed. So we know all this again and again and again. Jennifer stated Madeline never wanted to sleep alone in her bedroom because she didn't have one. Jennifer couldn't remember how many times she left Madeline to sleep with Stefan alone in his bedroom. Jennifer stated she allowed it because she trusted Stefan and he treated her as his daughter. When Jennifer stated she and Stefan ended their relationship, Madeline had an idea but never spoke about it. Jennifer said she spoke with Stefan about the possibly moving back to help get him on his feet, but she didn't know if he was going to be permanent or temporary. Will asked Jennifer if she knew that Madeline was being abused by Stefan prior to the interview at the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and she said no. Will stated Jennifer texted Madeline's father about not wanting her to be filmed underneath bathroom doors, which I find really weird given that there was a photograph of one of the roommates that appeared to be taken in secret in the bathroom. So was Stefan making a point of photographing the roommates and Madeline in the bathroom? And maybe Jennifer had an idea or knew about it. We don't know. All right. Jennifer stated she had just heard a story about someone filming in bathrooms on an airplane. Jennifer was asleep. Jennifer was asked why Stefan didn't take her car to take Madeline to school, and she said that Stefan was not on her insurance, so she didn't want to take the risk. Well, he took her car. He took her car twice. Took her car to return back to the crime scene, and then took her car to go to Northport. So, not that Stefan will care about things like insurance. Will asked Jennifer again if she'd ever seen Madeline in the morning of 2/26, and she said not. Jennifer also stated she didn't know about how she died. I asked Jennifer how many times Stefan came to Kissimmee after he moved out, and she said 2 or 3 times. Jennifer also stated bedroom 4 was empty. There was white-coloured sheets that were on his bed, but she didn't know if Stefan used any other blankets. On April 22nd, I responded to FDLE. I don't know what that will be. And made contact with Agent Torres, FDLE. Maybe I should know. I don't know. Made contact with Agent Torres to retrieve the downloads from the 2 USB drives and hard drive. Upon reviewing the data from the USB hard drives, one of the drives was empty and the other drive contained over 35,000 images of child pornography. Can you believe that? 35,000 images. on one USB drive. So you can see why Stefan was hiding these things, can't you? Oh, thank you, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Thank you so much. 35,000 images. images on one USB drive. I'm assuming that means Madeline did not appear that Madeline was in any of those images. But someone's had to go through 35,000 images. The hard drive was not used since 2020, and it did not contain anything of evidentiary value. Wonder why he took it out then. Or whether he took out a hard drive from that computer and threw that away, or hid it somewhere else. And this hard drive was maybe potentially just a spare one. Who knows? On April 24th, 2024, this case was brought before the grand jury and Stefan Stearns was indicted on first-degree premeditated murder. April 30th, the Honourable Judge Vincent Chu also signed a search warrant for Madeline's paediatrician, gastroenterological doctors. Supplement will be completed with results of the medical records. This supplement will be forwarded to the State Attorney's Office. And that's just bump. So there you go. Isn't that interesting? So that's a discovery from Kissimmee Police Department. So it's a supplemental to the nearly 900 pages that we got from Orange County and Osceola County back in June. So as I said right at the beginning, I could only find this on this Scribd website. I can't download it because I don't have an account there. And there's only 52 pages. So I'd be interested to know if there's more, because this stuff seems to have come out somewhat piecemeal over the last few days. So I'd be interested to know if there's anything else since the indictment. There's probably going to be stuff kind of trickling in, but they've got him absolutely banged to rights. Banged to rights. You know, even if they couldn't have pinned the murder on him, he's still going to be in prison for the rest of his life based on all of the charges that he's got for Madeline, but also 35,000 images of child pornography. That's mind-boggling. That's a mind-boggling number. And that's just on a few drives that they've been able to find. What more is there? What more is there? But why had Maddie's GastroDoc not noticed the essay? Well, they don't do intimate examinations, do they? Like digestive problems, or constipation, they don't do intimate examinations, do they? Has there been a release of the autopsy report? No, the autopsy report won't be released because it's law in Florida that they can't release the actual autopsy report of a minor who has been murdered as a result of a domestic incident. And they're considering this a domestic incident because obviously this is, it's in the home. It's essentially a stepfather. So they won't release the autopsy. So we'll never see that autopsy report, but we will hear the details. We'll hear the details of it at the trial, I would imagine, certainly at the murder trial. Hope they don't offer him a plea deal. I can't imagine that they'll want to. Only if she had a colonoscopy, which is unlikely at her age. unless she had severe gastro issues. Yeah. Because remember, she was only just 13. So I can't imagine that she'd have had an intimate examination. Maybe she would have, and maybe that's why they want the records. They want to check. Maybe that, you know, that's the line of thinking, that let's just check everything. Because if they had done a colonoscopy or something like that in the past, then maybe there were signs. So we obviously we need to wait and see, because that's still outstanding. Oh, okay. Problems with my kid having to see a gastro doctor. I was had to have surgery and it was very invasive. I thought it was normal. I guess it depends what the issue is, or what the symptoms are, maybe. But I don't know. Obviously, they want the records for a reason. Maybe maybe there was, if there was an intimate examination, maybe there was something recorded there. Maybe it's something that they want to know about. Severe constipation is common with SA children. It is, actually. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to go. This has been a long one. Not that long, 2 hours, not too long. Heard it was 3,500 images. Well, maybe I've misread it. Let me just check again. No, definitely 3 zeros. 35,000 images. That's crazy. 35,000 images. Unless that's a misprint. Could be. Could be. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I know this content is not for everybody. I know this is... there's no words to describe the depravity of Stefan Stearns. I'm glad his parents are not defending him. I'm glad that they're standing against him. Glad that nobody's trying to defend him at this point. So that's at least something. These trials are going to be something, though, I'm telling you. And it's Florida, so it's all televised. With no worries about this not being televised, because this is Florida. All right, so thank you for joining me. Thank you so much to the mods, especially if you were in the Delphi live earlier as well. Thank you to those who donate. Welcome to the new members. And I shall see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye, guys.